Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bensday with Batgirl and Ben. And it is, well, almost the end of April, getting closer and closer to that June 26th date.
Yeah, things are moving along.
It's 2 months away.
Yeah, it's very close.
I'm watching things to see if they move from week to week, so I got to see tomorrow if anything changes on the schedule. Getting fun.
We do update it for changes every Friday, so you'll see what it's realistically doing.
Somebody sent me a message that I guess was put out on the Spectrum that said, "Great news! We've had a breakthrough in technology and exploration is out." And I was like, exploration's coming in the game? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh no, they meant exploring threads in Spectrum. Oh.
I will blame Turbulent for that one.
Yeah, I got all excited. It was like, well, it's like a bad date. You get excited, you're going out, you get dressed up, and then right out from under you.
We're going to the Waffle House.
So Banu sales going well, it looks like.
Super well. I mean, we do some projections before this, and it's better than we expected, so hooray!
So are the Q&As up yet? I have not looked.
Let's see.
Last
when are
night
you posting?
they should have been, right?
We ended up doing one Q&A instead of two, and it's just one with twice as many questions, so it's coming out today.
Okay.
Let me see what it is. It is 4:37 as we record this. It's scheduled to go to 5, so
all right.
By the time anyone sees this, it should be available.
So how is it different for a human to be flying the Banu Defender from something like a Banu? Will they be using the same controls, or do controls have to be altered?
The controls did have to be altered. A Banu ship is piloted by multiple Banu. When it's operated by Banu, it has 3 pilots, and they are each responsible for very specific parts of the spacecraft. So the idea that I think Dave and everybody wanted to get across with the Banu is that they're not like us at all. They have this idea they don't have history. They focus on their work totally differently. So it takes 3 people to do this job, and each one has their own very specific role. And when you're a human, you just do the human thing.
So 3 different people, kind of like I don't want to say an F-14 Tomcat because that didn't have 2 pilots. It had a pilot and a Rio. But in an F-4 Phantom in the Air Force, the backseater actually could fly the plane, and he did a little bit more. He did navigation, and so something like that, or the way the B-2 works?
I mean, I would think of it more like, don't imagine them functioning, thinking the way a human does at all. And I will say right out, I don't know the specific roles that the lore guys have nailed down. But it is like, here's the guy who does the scanners, here's the guy who fires the weapons, here's the guy who moves the ship at sublight, that sort of things. And they operate together very naturally, and it should be in a way that humans just can't approach it.
Okay. Donatus wants to know about ship sensors. Does a large ship like a Polaris have a better sensor than smaller ships like the Hornet Tracker? Can a Polaris perform roles better than a smaller specialized ship can?
Totally different things, I would think. Sensors aren't defined by roles, size specifically. It's more like roles. I mean, the Tracker has particularly good sensors for a little ship. It's designed for that job. But it's kind of like, does a really nice sports car have a better engine than a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier?
Are we talking?
Maybe.
I'm wondering if when we're looking at these ships like the Tracker, is it more like an E-2C in the Navy?
Very much so. That's the idea. It's an SWAX platform.
So it's command and control for a strike package.
Yes. It would coordinate multiple spacecraft. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. So then, you'd probably be able to get sensors that go out farther on a Polaris, but then you could extend your range by launching a Tracker, which could look out further.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously familiar with the military. The idea is never to make the one thing that's the best at anything. It's a team. It's things working together. Different components in the system, force multipliers.
Right.
Nobody in the UAE Navy would ever be like, well, we're going to take out the Tracker instead of the Polaris. They're just totally different. Different categories of thing.
It's kind of like now with a new administration, they're looking at the Navy and all of a sudden saying, buy more F-18s because they do that well, and then buy more F-35s because they do that well. So
yeah.
yeah.
Looking at two dogs, and you've got a German Shepherd and a pug, and those are technically the same thing, but man, they have different sensor capabilities
and different fear factors. All right, so from soloscar, which asks a lot of questions. Thank you very much for joining us every week with a question. Is the Drake Marauder? My New York accent comes through sometimes. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that.
Oh my lord, that's just bad. Is the Drake Marauder, which was announced quite some time ago, the Drake Buccaneer, or is it a ship still down the line? What line is that?
I don't remember the context of the Marauder, but I think it may have been the early name for the Buccaneer. Really? It's not a ship. All I can say is it's not a ship we're building right now. So it either have... I don't remember it being an early name for the Buccaneer, so it may have been some earlier idea that we have not pursued. But
so if you were the new head of Drake, and you were trying to change your image because your mom screwed everything up for it, made it quite a nefarious company, what would be, and this is not saying that CIG is making a new Drake ship, but what would be a ship that would change their image? What do you think Drake would work on next?
Oh, probably their take on a Constellation or something. The family ship.
Every time I ask you about a company, you say their take on a Constellation.
It'll happen eventually. No, I will say right now we don't have a Drake ship in the works actively. And I looked up Marauder while we were talking. That is one of the original ship pitch mentions. It looks like so that was it's a sense of things. It's like this is the style of names we have for Drake. So it's not one that has anything more to it yet. But we've revisited that a couple times for other ships. So.
Well, I have to say, I'm extremely happy with my purchase of the Buccaneer. That was cool. I like that ship a lot.
It turned out really, really well, and I think it speaks to kind of patience that I think folks should. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want my ship right now. I want my ship right now. I want my ship right now." But the later in the process your ship comes online, it's so much smoother. So you should all want the last ship.
Okay. Well, I'm much more superficial than that. I want skins, and I want skins in the game now.
They're coming. Yeah.
So is it time for a Mover Marcus question? Let's see if this one is good. Hi, Ben. I can't get into his voice today, can I? Hi, Ben. I have been playing Mass Effect a lot, even though it has almost no cargo transport. And one of the improvements they made is reducing the waves of enemies in multiplayer. Is this an idea for Vandal / Pirate Swarm, as 18 waves is a bit long?
No, I mean these gauntlet things should always be
2 hours. 2 hours, Ben. 2 hours. My hand comes out looking like this, and I can't move it.
How proud are you when it's done?
Oh, you want to know what? How proud am I? The sun has set. Right? The moon is high in the sky. The bats are flying around outside because I'm nuts.
I, for one, have very, very fond memories of, 24-hour Wing Commander Academy, Wing Commander Armada, Gauntlet Marathons.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I am not saying that I don't feel great, but maybe there just needs to be Arena Commander Light for those people that only have the time of one beer to play the game. No.
I would hope that eventually we would have something like that. You remember in old flight sims, you would have create the quick mission where you're like, I want to fight 3 MiG-15s and I want to be in Europe. And, it's just.
I would love that.
And that's the sort of, as with all of this, it's something that's much easier once we're done rather than right now.
I'm waiting for them to put blades and other Vandal ships into Arena Commander. I'm tired of seeing those sights and those, oh my God, why do they even let an Aurora go up against a Glaive? It takes 6,000 shots to shoot it down.
Well, it's because it's not real. It's a game in a game. So
I know. I do think that the subscriber perks now do offer that test flight any ship or the extra rec every month, and I am liking that because it's letting me get a gist of how some of the ships I don't own fly, and it's making me absolutely love some of them. I'm waiting for those sales to come around. I'm also waiting for the redesign of the 300 after talking to Chris Smith about that. That sounds like it might be something good to look at sometime next year, I think it is.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think you'll have a good idea before then because you're going to see the 600 and the 890 and
600. Wait. Did you just say Origin 600?
Well, it's hard to hide it. It was at the back of the Defender catalog or Defender Space National Geographic.
Yeah. Well, oh God, I can't wait to see it. So what you're telling me is there's a picture of it in there.
Yeah, there's a. It's a tease. It's a total tease. But
okay. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Man, I've been out of it's finals week this week and next week, so I've been out of it.
Well, check out the National Geographic we did. It's the back cover. We wanted to do like one of those classy, like Lexus-y car ads.
Oh, that's got to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to fly it. So how many people fit in it?
I can't say yet.
Okay, see, I thought I'd get you. What kind of weaponry does it have? What's the avionics package?
Oh, huge weaponry, the best weaponry.
What's the service cost of it over the course of 12 months? Oh, that's not Car and Driver magazine. I forgot. All right. So let's see if we have another question over here. See, I'm quite interested in the design of the Banu ships. I mean, if it's going to be that all of them look like they're like hodgepodge put together from other races, is this one way that we're going to be introduced to other races in the game by seeing Banu architecture and Banu ships?
Very smart. You're very smart.
I am? I'm very smart. You said that out loud.
There are some things hidden in there that I will not go further into.
All right. So, will we see a concept sale of the Pisces ahead of the Carrack being completed, as with the 85X ahead of the 890 Jump?
It's not on our schedule, but probably.
That ship doesn't have the same capabilities, though.
It's a different thing.
It's going to be more like a Merlin, right? It's not going to have a quantum drive or anything, right?
Yeah, have to wait and see.
Oh, you are so bad. It's like, the worst show ever. You'll have to wait and see.
I could tell no one anything. Thanks for coming on the show.
So, if you landed a Cutlass at a clown school, how many clowns could you fit in it? What the hell kind of a question is that? And that's not even Marcus's. You don't get credit for that question. Oh my goodness. I have quite a question for you.
All right.
So, looking at the design schedule, there's a lot of ships that are in the pipeline that are coming out of it. That schedule doesn't show anything about concept work then, correct?
Right. You're not seeing the concept aspect on the published schedule.
So all the stuff that you guys have that are going to be coming out to us in the next few months, plus the next wave of ships, are not something that's going to show up in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just bad. I'm relying on that to tell me what's happening.
We try to aim for about 10 concept ships a year, and we'll probably hit around that this year. So. 10?
Okay, so only 2 months without a concept sale.
Yeah.
And one of them is never Christmas. There's always a concept sale for Christmas. Just when you thought you were going to be able to make your Christmas budget, out comes a $500 ship.
Do not buy a ship instead of buying a Christmas present, please.
You can't tell people to do that.
I know it's terrible marketing, but please, Christmas presents first.
All right. With the new schedule this year, I noticed that there was no mention of the Redeemer. Will it ever get a reworked and final flyable version?
It will, but I can't say when.
Yeah, I do. I know when. After the Scimitar comes out. Oh, you like how I stoked that fire, huh?
Yes.
Well, Infinite Shoe Monkey, they slide me some UEC under the table to mention them every now and then. And what was the name of the Real Runners runner-up?
See? The Boom Slang.
Boomslang. I never get as many. I mean, it was a good looking ship too, but I just don't get as many people asking about it.
Yeah, people seem attached to the scimitar.
I think it's because it's a different. It was totally a different look from everything else that was out there. Mm-hmm. It looked. It was sleek, but it looked like something that could be in like the Star Wars universe or like Space 1999. But we already have the Aurora for that one, right?
I'm just glad that people still remember TNGS. I have fond memories of it, and I'm glad other people do too.
Well, there's a lot of us that are old-timers that have been around since you announced the game in 1962.
Just before the Missile Crisis.
All right, so I do have another question in my email before I start hitting my questions, which, you know, my questions are always harder than everybody else's. Mm-hmm. So last night was D&D until 12:30 at night.
How'd it go?
Well, you know, it's like the first thing that you should, well, the number one thing, you should never tell the DM that they're playing too easy. The last thing you want to do is say, everything you throw at us is easy. You're making us feel overpowered. Yeah. Take that, mother, you know. It was a good night. I almost killed them all, but I didn't, because then you have no fun.
Yeah, they don't come back if you kill them all.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but they do feel like heroes today, which is good. So now they know what a real fight is.
What is life but the constant need to decide between wanting to kill someone and having a friend?
Well, at the very end of it, they were surrounded by about, I think it was 8 vampires spawn and a vampire, and they're only level 7. And they're going, let's do this. And I'm like, okay. And the vampire was trying to make a deal with them to help take down her brother. And they're like, let's do this. And I'm like, all right, what do I do? So I swung at somebody and showed them what happens. It hurt. All right, so on the front page in the 890 jump brochure, there is a concept image of an 890 landing and taking off from water. You answered this question before.
We don't know yet.
Well, water has its own... I mean, I could answer this question. And you could just look at the games like X-Plane and Flight Sim. They're already modeling the physics of spaceflight. And then fluid dynamics on top of that. I mean, we don't even have real aerodynamics in the game. You know what I mean?
Well, we will, and you know, we will have fluid dynamics for the water stuff, but the mechanics of having a ship take off on that from water, it's a fantastic, fantastic idea. I would love to see it more than anything, but I don't know that it'll be necessarily soon. So
if you land the ship in the water and barnacles form on the hull, will they die in space?
Sure.
And if you have a ship that actually lands on the water, when you're in space, you have to hang off the side of it and chip the paint off and paint it every other month like you do in the Navy with the ships.
Yeah, we should have painting as being a thing.
Don't let me give you any other ideas. So, it's been a very long time since there's been any word on the hangars and any rework on the hangars. I see now that they're talking about Room System 2.0 sometime after 3.0 comes out. Does that have anything to do with the hangars and maybe some of those rooms that we were promised, like the range and the apartment?
Yeah, I don't know the specific reference there, and I would hate to speak for production or anything, but it's definitely related. You know, bringing the hangars in up to the current standard is going to be a big deal after 3.0. So.
All right, so
because right now they're just a totally separate system. They're still very, very old, and we need to bring them into the universe, make them multiplayer, and it's a total rebuild for some of that stuff.
I want to see the original deluxe hangar again.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't do stuff like that.
If they could just rework it and put the new graphics engine, well, you know, the new detailing in it, and, you know, it's like I had a hangar that literally took 5 minutes for me to drive down to the end of it at one point.
I remember those. Yeah.
Well, you just put an Aurora in every single bank and you'd be fine, right?
It seems so exciting and cool when it happened, and we move in. Everything moves so slowly in game development that you don't quite appreciate how much has happened. Compare Crusader to the hangar module. It's insane.
The business hangar was all right. That was good. I think that, of all the hangars, it's like the one that always gave me the feel that it was something sci-fi was that original, the poor man's hangar, whatever we called it back then.
It's the discount
hangar.
Yeah.
Right? So when I go into that, not the VFG industrial, because I still have to work on the lighting a little bit on that one, but the Softland hangar, that's one of my favorites. And, ever since they took Eric's voice out of the AeroView hangar, I've been like, yeah, I just feel out of place in there. It's kind of weird. All right, so I think that's going to be it. I mean, my last question was going to be about the Retaliator, because I know that there's quite a number of modules that are on it. Are we going to have the same modularity that we have with something like the Retaliator in something like the Polaris at some point? Is it going to be modular in that way?
It depends on the ship totally. I think that the Polaris is pretty much a single unit, but I know they plan some for the Javelin, and it's something you have to decide at the start of a ship rather than later.
So, and it seems like in the latest ships there haven't been a lot of variants anymore. Like Saber, it has a variant, but it's not really a variant. It's just a skin. Are you moving away from variants of ships, or?
We're moving away from the pressing need for variants of ships right now.
Okay.
I think down the line, once everything is in its final form and we can say this is exactly how a ship works, this ship's in the universe, then it makes sense to do a bunch of variants of each one. Right now it creates a lot of legacy work as we move along. We don't have one Aurora, we have 7 Auroras.
But you have the tools that make it so when you upgrade one, it upgrades the others too, don't you?
Yeah, but then you get into things like the Cutlass variants where the change in the look of them is so important that it's extra work right now that we have to go back to and revisit every time we change some essentials. So I would expect to see more variants down the line, but it's also sort of an effect of our success. Now, early on we would say, okay, we want an SWAC ship. Nobody is going to buy an SWAC ship on their own, but we can get that into the game by doing it on a Hornet chassis, and this deeper gameplay will still be there. Today we can say, hey, wait a minute, the audience does appreciate this stuff. People will buy a dedicated, equivalent to like an EW6 or something, and we can actually build that and make the universe make more sense. So it's a couple different things that have made us move away from variants.
But it wasn't a bad decision in the beginning. Even when you look at older aircraft in the Navy, you had the E2, the A6, EA6, and the A6 refueler, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a bomber attack, right? It was an attack bomber. It was a refueler, and it was a radar jammer. And the F-18 has those too, right?
And look at everything Boeing can do with a 737 or something. It's so there is a place for variants, and there will be more variants, but it's sort of more of a sensible thing to wait a bit.
I see it kind of like how you did the rework on the F7A Hornet and now the F7C, that it's had its day, it's been around, and then it gets upgraded, and then maybe you want to trade yours in, or maybe you want to.
Oh, that'll be model years. That'll be something that is something we'd very much like to do down the line. A couple of years in, here are the new Auroras, and not even necessarily as like a hey, you need to switch to the new one. It's more of a hey, now the old ones are collectible. These are rarer ships. So there's always all sorts of interesting stuff we can do that's inspired by real life, and we'll get there.
I think it's awesome. I do. Well, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to go eat some dinner and study for some finals here so I can get to making more videos next week.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining me, Ben. It's always a pleasure.
Anytime. I know I didn't have too much exciting to say this week, but I appreciate
you did. I think
chatting.
I think that information that we closed with is going to be good for people.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did learn about, for those people that didn't already know, like probably everybody that's been on Reddit, there was like a 600 picture out there that I got to go look at now.
I think it's just like the Glindoff the Cowling or something. It's cool. Check it out. It's going to be a beautiful ship when it happens.
I can't wait. And that's probably it's Origin, so it's BMW, so it's going to be expensive. So start putting away your nuts, little squirrels. I'm sorry. That's going to be a meme.
All right, bye.
Bye. And with that said, you all be safe out there. And I will talk to you soon.